And how did that turn out for you? Did you find it easy to direct these musicians, these non-professional actors?
Well, I mean, musicians are not necessarily non-professional because they are performers. And James today is a terrific performer. He has a great act on stage. But he's just a natural. I tell my students that acting is something that can't be taught, directing can't be taught, and that you either have it or you don't. And you know, James just had it, and he could have been a terrific actor. He could have continued, but he's never seen the movie.
When the movie came out, Rolling Stone magazine called it an instant classic. Most of the reviews were very praising, yet it kind of failed at the box office at the first release. But now it has gained some momentum as a cult classic. It's being seen all over the world. It got also a Criterion Collection DVD release. How does that work for you? This late recognition?
Well, it was unfortunate. We'll never know how successful it might have been, but it was a planned failure. The studio, for whatever reason, I think it was mostly political, wanted the picture to fail, along with 4 other movies that were in this kind of special program that a young executive was supervising, and the head of the studio wanted him to stop this nonsense, and so they literally put the movie out without any money at all. It opened in New York without one newspaper ad.
But now it's being seen by people all over the world. Just as some other work you've done, you've had maybe a kind of atypical career, working a lot together with other people. You've edited a movie for Peckinpah. You've been the executive producer of Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. And now, after all these years, finally you're back with a new movie.
Well, it's very exciting. I've been working all this time with getting about a half a dozen different projects on, and one of them was about to go just before my daughter miraculously and daringly, because she believed so much in it, got the money to do Road to Nowhere, so we did that first, and now we're doing the second one.
Road to Nowhere was released on the Venice Film Festival. How was the vibe there? How are the commentaries?
Beyond our wildest dreams. I mean, I think at least half the Italian press said it before. This is before the awards. Said it was far and away the best film in the festival, and then we actually did not win the Golden Lion for Best Picture, but we won an alternate Golden Lion for Best Overall Work, overall body of work, and it was generally acknowledged to be another Best Picture award.
In order to make the movie, you've worked with this kind of Canon 5D still image photography camera, which is all the hype right now because you can make high quality images as feature film also. I think you're probably the first actual feature film to be made with this kind of equipment.
Well, we came very early. There were other pictures that used this camera as a second camera, but we were the first feature film to use it as the only camera.
And would you recommend this to younger filmmakers, because it's a much more cheap way of working than you would having larger cameras?
It didn't turn out that way for us. No, it's you don't really, you save a little bit of time because you don't have to change reels so often. But there are, the camera's not designed to make movies, so there are a lot of problems, a lot of things that slow you down. It requires it may not require as much lighting, but it requires, the same amount of lighting, but maybe less intensity that you would use in 35mm pictures.
Could you give us a very brief introduction to the kind of movie within a movie within a movie the narrative of Road to Nowhere is about?
It's, what is Road Road to Nowhere. Road to Nowhere is about 2 hours, is what it is. No, I'm joking. But Road to Nowhere is, I realized just last night in a feverish dream, I've had the flu for about a week. I realized that up until Two-Lane Blacktop, I was making many different kinds of genres and many different kinds of stories. And I think Two-Lane Blacktop was my first personal movie. And it was a story that appealed to me. It's a story that I think I somehow sensed as the story within Truffaut's Shoot the Piano Player. You need to translate from her?
Shoot the Pianist, yeah.
And since then, every movie I've made has been exactly the same story. And it's funny because when I made Two-Lane Blacktop, I said, you know, it's not about cars, it's about this relationship. And it's about someone who is passionate about what he does, but also has this need for love, as everybody does. And so it's the conflict between someone's passionate profession and the other part of his life, which is, you know, maybe equally important. And so every movie after that became the same story. I don't know how it happened, because they weren't my scripts, I didn't write any of them, all exactly the same story. Cockfighter, China 9, Liberty 37, Iguana, maybe not Stanley's Girlfriend. Stanley's Girlfriend, I'm sorry. And finally, and what I said after making Two-Lane Blacktop, I said, well, it's not about cars, this could easily have been a movie director. And here I make Road to Nowhere, which is Two-Lane Blacktop, but it's a movie director.
So we're going to watch Road to Nowhere in a little bit. We're going to have a little pause between this talk and the movie. Is there something we ought to know before seeing it? Is there some warning we need to heed before we experience the 2-hour-long Road to Nowhere?
Yes. Road to Nowhere is a little bit of a throwback to the 60s when we had LPs from the Beatles and some other groups where you didn't hear the whole album until you let it play out, and then the needle went around in the little grooves at the end over and over and over again, and there was more information there. So if you really are interested up until this point, I would say stay with the movie until the very end of the end credits, because there's something at the end.
Thank you, Monte Hellman.